This is the Sailing World on Water, Easter edition, April 16, 2022. Boris Herrmann is building a new boat for the ocean race and the Vendée Globe. He finished the Vendée by crashing into a fishing boat 90 miles from the finish. Better luck for these two round-ins.
Well, I have read as a child books about the Whitbread race at the time, and the sailing magazines, the films, and it's inspired me tremendously. I'm super happy that we are now starting the race. I want this race to become part of the IMOCA class, our sailing raceboat class from the Vendée Globe, and 2026 and then ongoing. I think really there can be something very strong if we have an agenda with both races around the world linking together, and that's basically driving me to do this one. And this is now 2/3 done. All the design work is finished, even all the details. We have already most of the ropes made with their little labels and their little color code and all that's already hanging in the container. And we have a launch on the 19th July in Lorient. And then we want to get this boat going as quickly as possible. Well, for me, that was a very natural thing. We have already, in the past years or decades on the IMOCAs, we have always been sailing with crews. Even like 15 years ago, there was a Europe race to Istanbul where there were 5 on board. And we had seen last summer that there was the Ocean Race Europe, which went fabulously with 5 people on board, 4 sailors and 1 onboard reporter. And so for me, there was a very positive surprise last summer again to see the feedback from these teams that had done it, and they were very happy with the even reduced space and ergonomy that an IMOCA has compared to a more traditional Volvo 65 boat, which is traditionally for bigger crews. And I therefore don't see any contradiction between both uses. For me, it's exactly the same boat. The big thing was that we are allowed to use autopilots in the ocean race. That means we don't have to think about a big steering wheel position, and that would have been a tremendous change compared to the Vendée Globe. That is not the case. That's not something we need to worry about. So we will sail the boat in a very similar way, mostly under autopilot. And for the Vendée Globe, I wanted to have a protected cockpit with a lot of windows and view and space to sleep next to the winch, where I have a kind of bench or bunk both sides in the cockpit. So I can sleep right next to the coffee grinder under all these windows. And that has kind of been a strong desire coming up in the last Vendée Globe. And this is also perfect for crew. Then 2 people can sit on the bench and 1 at the coffee grinder, and there's enough space for everyone. So I'm really looking forward to exploring this. This is the first boat design that I have been involved with. I have been heavily involved. I pushed a lot in one direction to go for a real offshore boat that is more tolerant to sea state and hopefully can go better through big waves and big sea state. So we will not just out of the box see like a flying ultra machine that is faster than anyone else. We will hopefully see a boat that is robust, safe, and that also can take me around the world in the Vendée Globe in the best condition and in the best average speeds in even very difficult sea conditions in the south. So this was the focus for the boat. And on the ocean race, maybe you would have put the cursor a little bit more towards an all-round boat, but who knows? We will find out where we stand in the competition, and hopefully anyway, this is not the last boat we build and not the last ocean race we do with the new boat.
Team New Zealand have their hydrogen-powered chase boat foiling on Auckland Harbour.
I think the whole time I don't want to be at a high height doing maximum speed.
No.
We might drop it back.
I'd like a chance to sit down and look at some data.
Plan for the day is continue off taking things slow, a few manoeuvrability things in the viaduct before heading out, with the goal of getting the boat on the foils and sustained flight. If we can do that, there'll be a lot of really chuffed people at the end of the day.
Once this thing's foiling up and down the harbour, there's going to be a lot of people really interested, and I can just see this changing the whole game.
Yeah, that was a great day for all of us. The first target was to get the boat up on the foil, so we achieved that today. We got up to various heights off the water and tried the stability of the autopilot, and that was all going well. So now we sort of spend a bit of time ashore this afternoon and let the electrical and mechatronics guys trawl through their data and work out what our plan is for the next day out boating. So overall it was a great day.
Amazing. Good to go for a ride and, you know, actually get the feel of it and see the guys doing their thing on the boat. Really steep learning curves for them, and yeah, the guys have done really well.
Pip Hare is getting coached for sailing her new boat, and she shows how she controls the engine.
My name's Jack Boutel. Basically, background's mainly in offshore sailing, a few Volvo Ocean races, 4 Solitaire de Figaro projects, Class 40 projects, and most recently Jules Verne projects on maxi trimarans. So sort of a broad field of all things offshore sailing. And I'm here with Pip on the delivery down to Portugal, basically joining Pip to help her get to grips with the new boat and try and get the most potential out of the boat and sort of the best decisions going forward and how to adapt the race program to, you know, to be as performance-based as possible, I think is the sum up. Normally in ocean race projects, it's a much bigger team. You've got a lot more, you know, in the last project I was with, we had 45 people, whereas a Vendée project's probably more around, I don't know, 10 to 15 people in a team. So it's slightly different management, but I think the same rules apply. If you're looking to perform, it's time management, have a good team behind you so that the skipper can perform well, and you know, all the rest is effectively similar. It's trying to get the most out of the boat. I think the big difference for the sailors is the Vendée is probably a lot more of a mental, you know, and stamina game potentially. I think the ocean race is a physical battle, and you know, I think the Vendée it's a mental game to be able to keep yourself going long enough and all the rest of it that goes along with that. I think it's a lot more difficult to deal with situations on your own than in a crew. So a lot to work on with that as well. I think the boat Pip's got is fantastic. It's a very good heritage. The winning boat 2 editions ago and 3rd in the last edition. It's super sorted boat. You know, they've ironed out all the kinks, and I think in these boats they're so technical now that you can lose so much time with newer boats and, you know, just the technical aspect of them. But I think, you know, Pip's got a good setup where she can just go straight into sailing, and, you know, 95% of the reliability and sort of the gremlins are already sorted out. And you know, I think the big thing going forward is going to be, you know, managing the sail package. I think we know what the boat's capable of as a boat, and then it's just managing the sail program to suit Pip well, and then the crude racing that we'll be doing, and just adapting the boat to be able to sail a bit, you know, efficiently with a crew for one of the races in the summer, and then yeah, get Pip up to speed as much as possible and with what it currently is set up with.
My lovely new engine is installed here, and I'm just going to show you how I work the engine controls. So this bit on the back here, this is the gearbox, and when this lever goes forwards, the engine is in forwards, and that way the engine's in reverse. and neutral. And then the other crucial part is this lever here, which controls the revs on the engine. Now, because the cockpit's so huge, I can't use the conventional wired Morse control lever to drive my engine. So I do it with these bits of string. So these are super long. They go out into the cockpit and they can follow me round whichever side of the boat I'm on, wherever I am in the cockpit. And basically I can pull these two bits of string to change gear. And then this one here changes the revs on the engine. I thought when I got this boat that I would really hate this method for driving the boat, but actually I much prefer it to a conventional system now. I've really got used to it.
Racing concluded of one of the largest Olympic regattas in the world with more than 1,015 sailors, 779 boats and boards, representing 62 nations. The IMOCA skippers are gathered in Lorient.
Well, I have to say, I really like the atmosphere. It's quite informal. It's as everywhere. It's like a big family.
On est à la colloque d'en face et on se réunit aujourd'hui enfin en vrai depuis 2 ans.
Moi, je suis très heureux d'avoir traversé la Loire pour être venu rejoindre les Bretons à Lorient.
For me, I'm not completely new to the IMOCA class. I've been working for another team for the last 4 years, so I do see some familiar faces. But it's really nice to be here as a skipper.
On discute du programme de course de l'avenir et ça c'est une vraie nouveauté parce qu'il y a beaucoup de courses, il y a un planning et un championnat du monde qui est étoffé, hyper sérieux. Et puis ensuite on va discuter de ce qu'on va voter demain avec des membres sortants du conseil d'administration.
C'est une des rares occasions où tous les skippers, les team managers, tous ceux qui travaillent dans l'IMOCA peuvent se réunir.
Et puis on va parler un petit peu de la sustainability, c'est-à-dire tout ce qu'on peut faire autour de notre classe et de nos bateaux pour que on ait de moins en moins d'impact sur l'environnement.
C'est important d'avoir une réflexion commune là-dessus parce que nos engins sont des engins de course. On parle beaucoup de performance et quand on parle de performance, on a plutôt tendance à tendre plutôt vers des matériaux exclusivement en carbone, que de pouvoir rentrer une dose soit d'énergie renouvelable, soit de matériaux biosourcés. C'est important. On veut donner l'exemple, on veut montrer que c'est possible de faire ça sur des bateaux.
The 49th year BVI Spring Regatta wound up much to the enjoyment of the 70 competitors.
Hi, I'm Judy Petz, the director of the BVI Spring Regatta and Sailing Festival, and this is our 49th year. Has to almost be one of our best. We have had the most amazing week of racing. Obviously the winds are still blowing, fortunately just a little less today, so those who raced around Tortola and have been in some 20, 25 knot, 30 knot breezes have a little bit of a respite today. We are just so thrilled to be back on the water racing, 70 boats out there. After 2 years of postponement for the 49th anniversary, we're just so excited. We've been able to bring back so many of the elements of the Spring Regatta. The village is fantastic, the music is playing, the rum is being poured, the beers are being drank, and the camaraderie is the most important part. We're just so pleased. The people behind the scenes have made this event what it is today. There are so many people who have put 20 plus years into making this event what it is, and they're here today over the last week, over the last 2 weeks actually, making this event happen, and we just couldn't be happier. So on this Sunday, the last day of the 49th BVI Spring Regatta and Sailing Festival, great winds, great racing, great rum, great beer. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Friedman, and this is Papillon. It's a Dufour 460 GL, and we've been having a lot of fun sailing this down here for the last few years, and we just love it. David and Tony are with me this year. We've been sailing together for probably 40 years. It works pretty well. It works pretty well. Just the three of us without the spinnaker. Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge, but we're okay with it. It's a fun boat to sail, even though it's a cruising boat. The starts are always so competitive that's what makes it fun. It's the best sailing. The weather is beautiful, the seas, steady winds, it's challenging. You can't beat the scenery going around the islands. And then everybody here, everybody is so welcoming, and meeting all these wonderful folks from around the world. It's just really, it's special. It really is.